In 1975, Jack Nicholson starred in Miloš Forman's One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, playing the charismatic Randall McMurphy. Louise Fletcher won Best Actress for her role as Nurse Ratched. The film swept 5 Academy Awards, including Best Picture. In 1954, Julie Adams starred opposite the creature in Universal's The Black Lagoon, a low-budget monster film that became a cult classic. Her scenes in the water defined an entire era of creature features and remain iconic. In 1957, Elizabeth Taylor starred opposite Montgomery Clift in MGM's Raintree County. Taylor was one of Hollywood's most bankable stars at the time. Clift's career was declining after a serious car accident in 1956. On the set of Downhill Racer in 1969, Robert Redford and Camilla Sparv appeared alongside Gene Hackman in Paramount's ski thriller. Redford played a competitive skier. The film showcased his emerging stardom during Hollywood's golden age. In the mid-1920s, women posed on the beach in period swimwear, their modest bathing costumes reflecting 1920s fashion standards. The photograph captures leisure time during the Jazz Age, when beach culture became increasingly popular among middle-class Americans. In 1933, young Audrey Hepburn, just 4 years old, stands for a London portrait. She would become one of cinema's greatest icons decades later. This childhood image predates her legendary film career by nearly 2 decades. In 1955, Dorothy Malone posed for a Hollywood studio photograph. She appeared in The Big Sleep and Written on the Wind, winning an Oscar for Best Supporting Actress in 1956 for her dramatic performance. In 1944, at the University of Texas, Tri Delta sorority sisters share a lighthearted moment together. The photograph captures collegiate life during World War II. Many members' brothers and boyfriends were serving overseas during this tumultuous period. In 1956, American actress Natalie Wood relaxes during a vacation away from film sets. She was rising to stardom through roles in Rebel Without a Cause and West Side Story. Her career would be cut short tragically in 1981. In 1946, Marilyn Monroe posed as a reference model for artist Earl Morin in Hollywood. She worked as a Blue Book model before her film breakthrough. This photograph documents her pre-stardom era as a working model. In 1943, a WAC member in uniform stood for a studio portrait in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, wearing technician 5th grade chevrons. Women's Army Auxiliary Corps members performed essential military support work. Her rank indicated skilled technical responsibility during wartime service. In 1890, Australian photographer Harriet Pettifor Brims captured South Sea Islander women on glass negative in Queensland. The image preserves documentation of Indigenous Australian communities. Colonial photography often framed subjects through the photographer's outsider perspective. Around 1852, an unidentified bearded gold miner faces the camera in a daguerreotype now held by Canada's Photography Institute. The image captures the gold rush era vividly. His expression and dress reflect the harsh conditions miners endured. Between 1870 and 1900, Pullman and Son created a studio portrait titled Pacific Woman. The photograph represents colonial-era documentation of indigenous subjects. Studio portraiture of this period reflects specific aesthetic and anthropological frameworks. In the early 1920s, silent film star Mary Miles Minter's career ended tragically. She was connected to director William Desmond Taylor's unsolved 1922 murder investigation. Despite never being implicated, she disappeared from public view permanently and completely. In the early 1900s, photographer George A. Locke captured an endearing portrait of a young child in Phillipsburg, Kansas. The image captures small-town American life authentically. Locke's work documents ordinary citizens rarely recorded in early 20th century photography archives. Around 1901, Mrs. E.B. Herbert sits for a portrait on glass negative showing crisp detail of her dress and hat. Her elaborate attire reflects Edwardian fashion standards precisely. The negative's clarity preserves the textile and millinery work of the era. In 1854, Maharaja Duleep Singh of Lahore, age 16, poses on the lower terrace at Osborne House on the Isle of Wight. He was the last Sikh ruler of Punjab. Singh later lived in exile in England, representing displaced Indian royalty. On November 6, 1951, actress Jane Russell relaxes with a drink during the filming of Son of Paleface. She was a major Hollywood star known for comedic and dramatic roles alike. Russell maintained a successful career spanning multiple decades. On January 24, 1989, Louise Bundy, mother of serial killer Ted Bundy, wipes away tears in her Tacoma, Washington home. He was executed at Florida State Prison at 7:16 a.m. Her final phone conversation captured a mother's profound anguish and maternal devotion. American actress Audrey Meadows, born in 1922 and died in 1996, is best known for playing Alice Cramden on The Honeymooners. Her performance defined 1950s sitcom comedy memorably. She appeared in the iconic series from 1955 to 1956. For Alfred Hitchcock's North by Northwest, James Mason, Eva Marie Saint, and Cary Grant posed before Mount Rushmore for publicity. Hitchcock's 1959 thriller made the monument a cinematic icon forever. This publicity image advertised one of cinema's greatest spy thrillers. Pauline Musters lived from 1876 to 1895 as a famous Dutch sideshow performer with dwarfism. Her peak height was only 24 inches. She weighed 9 pounds at death, yet was described as calm and gentle despite exploitation. Around 1855, a young lady in a plaid dress with scallop sleeves faces the camera in a six-plate daguerreotype. Her clothing reflects authentic mid-19th century fashion beautifully. The daguerreotype process required complete stillness and created permanent mirror images. In 1977, the Battle of the Network stars cast poses together for a television special. The competition featured popular television actors competing athletically. The photograph captures an era of network television dominance before cable fragmentation. In 1955, Ava Gardner poses for a portrait photograph in Berlin, Germany. She was one of Hollywood's most glamorous stars of her generation. Gardner lived an adventurous life extensively documented by press photographers worldwide. In 1955, Sophia Loren sits at her apartment in Rome, Italy during her early modeling career. Photographer David Seymour captured her elegantly before international stardom arrived. This image predates her legendary film work by several years. In 1942, a mother and baby wave goodbye as they board a train to internment camp. Executive Order 9066 forcibly relocated approximately 120,000 people of Japanese ancestry across the nation. Two-thirds of those displaced were American citizens. In 1890, children play in the ocean waves on a glass negative plate in Sydney, Australia. The photograph captures leisure time during the colonial period authentically. Swimming became increasingly popular among Australian families in the late 19th century. In the late 1940s, Marilyn Monroe poses playfully with a windmill prop in Hollywood. She was transitioning from modeling to film acting professionally. This image captures her before mainstream stardom established her as cinema's greatest icon. Marlon Brando signs autographs in a Hollywood publicity photograph capturing his charismatic appeal. He revolutionized acting through method techniques and raw intensity. Brando's talent made him one of cinema's most influential and rebellious performers. In 1989, Isabella Rossellini poses in a striking Stephen Meisel portrait photograph. She was a model and actress following her mother Ingrid Bergman's legendary career. Meisel's photography defined 1980s fashion aesthetics and celebrity imagery comprehensively. On February 9, 1964, Davy Jones appeared in a scene from Broadway's Oliver on the Ed Sullivan Theatre stage. The Beatles also performed on that same historic broadcast. Jones later became famous as a member of the Monkees. In 1957, Swedish model Mona Arvidsson poses with a Ferrari 375mm coupe in France. The car is often called the Ingrid Bergman Ferrari by enthusiasts. The photograph captures 1950s luxury automotive culture and European glamour perfectly. On May 16, 2008, Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull premiered at the Cannes Film Festival. The fourth installment continued the franchise 19 years after the previous film. The premiere drew international media attention. In 1942, Ava Gardner married Mickey Rooney in her first marriage in Hollywood. Rooney was Hollywood's biggest star at the time domestically. He dominated the box office during the early 1940s as cinema's reigning male star. Zita Johann lived from 1904 to 1993 and appeared in only 7 Hollywood films in the early 1930s. She performed in The Mummy, Tiger Shark, and The Sin of Nora Morin, among others. Her brief career ended despite early promise shown. In 1957, Zsa Zsa Gabor told The Observer, "I never hated a man enough to give him diamonds back." The quote reflects her wit and glamorous lifestyle perfectly. Gabor became famous for marriages, television appearances, and memorable quotations. From 1890 to 1910, coal breaker boys worked outside the Woodward mines in Kingston, Pennsylvania. They sat on wooden benches picking slate and rock from coal by hand for hours daily. Child labor in mines was disturbingly common during the Industrial Revolution. In 1877, during the Madras famine in India, a man stands guard over his starving family. Photographer Willoughby Wallace Hooper, a British officer, documented the humanitarian catastrophe powerfully. The image captures desperation and famine's devastating human toll during imperial rule. On the set of Spartacus, Gene Simmons, Kirk Douglas. And Tony Curtis posed together during production. The 1960 epic film starred Kirk Douglas as the title character memorably. The cast represented major Hollywood stars of the era. In 1951, a lady poses over a car in a park in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. The photograph captures post-war American automotive culture and leisure beautifully. Women increasingly appeared in automotive advertising during the prosperous 1950s decade. In 1918, the Stolen Generation photograph documents Indigenous Australian children forcibly removed from families. The Australian government implemented this devastating policy systematically. The policy lasted until the 1970s, causing generational trauma across communities. On February 9, 1977, Debbie Harry and Sable Starr pose at the Whiskey A Go Go nightclub in Los Angeles. Photographer Ron Galella captured the moment dynamically. The image documents the punk rock scene's emergence in Los Angeles vividly. Around 1943, actress and singer Jane Russell poses in period swimwear on the beach. She was emerging as a major Hollywood star professionally. Russell became famous for her roles in comedies and dramas throughout her lengthy career. At the 1936 Berlin Olympics, German high jumper Dora Ratjen competed on the international stage. She was later revealed to have been born male but raised as female throughout her life. Ratjen eventually changed his name to Heinrich and lived under that identity. In the late 1800s to early 1900s, Ms. Ellis poses boldly in a New Athens, Ohio portrait. Her dress appears deliberately lowered, revealing bare arms defiantly. The photograph represents subtle resistance to strict Victorian fashion standards and convention. Monday morning arrives with cold truth and harsh light. After 10 nights of shadows and jazz music filling the space, the light feels like an intruder. The image captures the temporal divide between evening entertainment and daylight reality starkly. In 1991, Australian pop star Kylie Minogue poses for a photograph captured professionally. She was the star of the soap opera Neighbours before her music career took off. Minogue became an international pop sensation during the late 20th century. On January 29, 1964, the Ronettes recorded for the television show They've Sold a Million in London, England. The girl group recorded during the British invasion era of music. Their doo-wop sound influenced rock and roll music permanently and profoundly.